Hey folks, welcome back to another review with yours truly, Sam Healey. Today we're taking a look at this little fellow right here, Blitz Bowl. This is the younger brother, I guess you could say, of another popular game from Games Workshop called Blood Bowl. And basically it is exactly that. It takes some of the mechanisms that are employed in Blood Bowl and condenses them down into a much smaller, much streamlined, I guess you could say, experience that only takes about an hour at most to play. And that is Blitz Bowl. Blood Bowl Light, basically. So let's go ahead and get down to the table. I'll show you how it works, and we'll come back with some final thoughts in just a few moments. The whole point of the game is to score the most points. Now, the game will end in a couple of different ways. Either one person, one team, will have 10 or more points from the other person. If that's the case at any point, that's considered a sudden death victory, and the game is over. The other way that the game can end is if this challenge deck is completely depleted. So this is your clock up here. You can score points by scoring a touchdown, by getting the ball into your opponent's end zone by an open player. Or you can score points accomplishing these different challenge cards, which we'll go over in just a few moments. Each team will have 3 actions to carry out. Those actions can be used by a single player, provided that he doesn't do the same action more than once, or it can be used by a mixture of different miniatures taking those actions. So 3 different characters can use 1 action each. One person can use 2 actions and the other person just 1, whatever combination that you'd like. So we'll say that the orcs have the first action in this game, and the different kinds of actions that you can take are determined by what state the player is in. If the player is open, then he can run, mark, or throw the ball. If he is a marked player, which means that if he is adjacent to an enemy opponent, the only thing he can do is block or sidestep. If he is a prone player, meaning that he has been knocked down from an opponent's block, he can stand up. If he is a dugout player, which means that he has taken an injury and he is back here on the dugout or on the bench, then they can make a reserves action, which simply means they can come off the bench and be placed somewhere on their end zone, as long as they're not adjacent to anything or where the ball is. So my thrower here, which has the best ability to pick up the ball, is going to move the best that he can, which is 5. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that is the end of his run action. So my black arc blocker here can move 4. He's going to go 1, 2, 3, and then 4, like so. And then let's say my blitzer, I want to get him into the mix here. He has a move of 5. We're going to get him to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. And that is the end of my action. But because all 3 of my guys made run moves today, I can actually claim this challenge card, which says get moving. It says claim this card if at least 3 players made run actions during your turn. And it becomes a bonus play card in my hand. It also scores me 2 points. So I'll take my marker here and move it 2 down the track. Once my turn is over, these cards have to be refreshed. So these will move down like this, and then another one flips over to take the spot. Now the knights do move, all of them. They move 6, so they're a lot faster than the decimators are, but they're a little bit weaker too, because their armor saves are 4+, with the catcher being a 5+. So they're a little bit weaker, but they are a lot faster, more agile. So we're going to go ahead and try to get that ball going on. So let's go ahead and get the linemen up here. So we have 3 linemen, so let's go ahead and go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we have let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, let's go 6 over here, and then we're going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So So we're going to get those linemen up there on the ball. Now, because the Averland Knights were not able to accomplish any of these, the one furthest away moves, and these are refreshed like so. So a mark action is going to be where you move 2 spaces, and you must end your movement adjacent to an enemy player. You can also move adjacent to other players. So, for example, if I were here, I could go 1, 2 and mark so that I'm ending here, but normally with a regular move action I wouldn't be able to go here because that's also adjacent. But because I'm making a mark action, I would be able to move 2 over there. But in this particular case, we're just going to say that we're going to go 1, 2 and mark from this direction right here. Now that's one action. My next action is going to make a block attempt against this knight player. So I'm going to take this die and roll it and see what comes up. Now this result is a tackle, which means that this person cannot make another action this turn, but this person is knocked down like so, but he can make a armor save to make sure that he's not injured. All right, so the injury result is a 4, and the lineman's armor save is a 4+, so no problems. He's not injured, but he is prone, so he'll have to spend an action to stand up at some point in the future. So that was 2 of my actions, a mark move and then a block. So my third action, my orc thrower here is going to make a mark action, which means he's going to be able to move 2 and then become adjacent to at least one other enemy player. And because of his special ability, his handling skills here, it says whenever this player moves into a square containing the ball, they can pick it up as though they were making a run action. So he's going to go ahead and pick up the ball like that, and now he has possession of it. Now on the knight's turn, they're going to use their first action to make a block action. This lineman right here is going to block this guy, and he's going to have an assist, because whenever you have a friendly character that is also adjacent to the person that is being blocked, you're going to be able to roll 2 dice and choose the best result. So our first action is going to be to try to block the orc thrower. Okay, first of all, we have a shove, which means that if he chooses this one, he's just going to push the orc thrower back 1 section, and then if he wants to, he can take ground like that. At the end of the Averland Knight's turn, he would be able to claim this challenge card, because it says that you can claim this card if you're standing on one of the trapdoors and the other opponent is holding the ball. But let's say that he wants to use the crunch action here, which means that, first of all, the orc player is going to be prone and the ball is going to bounce, which means we roll an 8-sided die and we consult the scatter diagram up by the scoreboard, which means that the ball is going to scatter this direction. Since it lands in a spot that is occupied by a prone player, it bounces again. So now it's going to go back over here, and that produces another bounce, and 2 puts the ball right there. And now the orc player has to make an armor save, and since he is a thrower, he has a 3+ armor save, but because it was a crunch result, that is actually a 4+. So he rolls the die, and he gets a 3, which means that he becomes injured and gets put into the dugout on the bench. Our second action is for this guy right here to go 1, 2 to perform a mark action, and he is going to block this guy over here. So he's going to roll a die and see what happens, and that result is a miss. So nothing happens. Now another way that you can advance the ball is by throwing the ball, and everybody does have a throw action, but of course your thrower will have the best result. For example, here he has a 3+, whereas the blitzer only has a 4+ throwing ability. And basically, in order to make a pass, you take this curved part right here and put it right up against the base of the person throwing the ball, and wherever the target falls, whether it's in long range or short range, determines how difficult the pass is going to be. So if it is long range, it's going to add +1 to the requirement of the roll. So in this particular case, the roll is a 3+, but because it's long range, it'll be a 4+. If this orc were right here, it would be considered an obstructed throw, which would also add another +1. And if this orc were over here and this person was marked by an opponent, then that would also add a +1. So any of those different things could make the throw a little bit more difficult. Now, in this particular case, it is an unobstructed throw. It is long range though, so it's going to be +1, so it has to be a 4 or higher. And it is a 6. So that means that the ball comes over here and is caught. It is an accurate throw. And now, because the catcher has the special ability here of if this player catches a thrown ball, not a handoff or a bouncing ball, roll a d6. And then this player makes a run action for up to that many spaces. So he's going to take this 6-sided die and roll the die, and he got a 6 again, which means that he's going to be able to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you can't see that, but it's in the end zone, and they score a touchdown. 1, 2, 3 points like so. And that is very generally how a game of Blitz Bowl is played, with people trying to score points by claiming these challenge cards or scoring touchdowns. And like I said earlier, the game will end if at any point one team has 10 or more points than the other, or if this challenge deck ever is depleted, the game automatically ends. Whoever has the most points is the winner. And that's basically it for Blitz Bowl. Now, as we usually try to say, I didn't show you everything that the game offers, but I gave you a basic understanding of how the game would flow from one turn to the next and so forth and so on. Different things that you could do to move the ball around, and how you can mark and block other players and that type of stuff. Those are basically the core concepts. There's other things that go in there, but you can get that whenever you do actually play the game. Now, as I said in the introduction to this video, this is Blood Bowl Light is really what it is. So if the idea of Blood Bowl always was intriguing to you, but you were apprehensive of diving in because it seemed like a long game, maybe too long for you, maybe there's just too many pieces on the board, too many moving parts, this might be your huckleberry, because this is a streamlined, condensed version of Blood Bowl that basically gives you the same punch in about a quarter, well, not a quarter, but about a third of the time, or at least a half of the time. So that's a really cool thing. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and get into my pros section. Now, my first pro is really something that I've already kind of mentioned, and that is it is a streamlined version of Blood Bowl, and that is an awesome thing. Some people who are fans of Blood Bowl will probably or maybe not see, because it's that convolution, it's that complexity that Blood Bowl offers, although, you know, it's not that complex of the game, I realize that, but all of the stuff that you get in Blood Bowl, the big huge juggernaut, that's what people really enjoy about the game, and how intricate it can be. So looking at this game, it might seem whatever. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But for me, I like games that give me the same feel that a larger game would give me, but in a condensed version. Doesn't mean that I don't like those other bigger games, and it doesn't mean that I don't like playing those other games. But if I can get the same experience, generally speaking, with a condensed version, a streamlined version of the game, then I'm all in for it. My second pro is the expandability that comes in the box. Now, partially speaking at least. What I mean by that is that, first of all, you have these other in-game conditions that you can use to add 6 cards to the deck, making it a 30-card challenge deck instead of just a 24-card deck. There are 16 of these in-game conditions, and so in-game challenges. And so basically you're only going to use 6 of these, and then the other 10 are going to go away. So there's a little bit of diversity there, and it gives a little bit of a spruce. If you get get down to an in-game challenge deck, once one becomes active, then the sudden death victory can no longer occur, and it only ends by the deck running out. So there is that, but I like this ability. It's a very small modular type expansion that comes in the box, but I really do enjoy it as well. Another way that they have kind of expanded the game inside the box is that they give you these player cards for all of these different teams. For example, there's a dwarf team, then there is another human team or chaos. There are Skavens as well. So there's that as well. There is, and then some extra guys that are just like regular upgrades, basically. So you get the idea here that if you already have these miniatures, or you have some miniatures that you can stand in for them, you can play the game with other factions right in the box. Of course, if you don't have them, you'll have to purchase those, and that's just the way of the beast. And this isn't really a modular expansion, but it's something that I wanted to mention that I thought was pretty interesting. They give you these drill cards, and these drill cards are basically a tutorial that you can run yourself through to teach you the different concepts of the game before you dive into your first game. So if you're not one that really can grok a rule book just by reading it, you want to put the pieces on the board and go for it, you can use these drill cards to do that. And I thought that was a really neat idea for them. And my third pro is basically that the miniatures are Games Workshop standard miniatures. The quality of the miniatures is very good, and while they are the easy to put together ones, they are not the highest tier of miniature quality that Games Workshop offers. They are very good, and I think that you will not be disappointed with them at all. And the final pro for the game is the challenge deck. The challenge deck is something that I really thought was a great addition, and the fact that it is the time aspect, it is the clock of the game, so to speak. I like that because it provides an end to the game. You know that the game is going to end and when it's going to end. You can watch the clock tick down, so to speak, generally speaking, and I like that. And I also like the fact that the challenge cards give you something to go for during the course of your turn, and if you accomplish them, they give you future benefits later on in the bonus play cards that they are on the other side. I really did enjoy the challenge deck. I thought it was a great addition to this game, and I loved the streaming, the efficiency that it provides for the game. Now, as far as cons are concerned, wow, I guess, and I'm kind of stretching here because I really don't have any particular or specific cons. There wasn't anything in the gameplay. The randomness of dice rolling is still there. It's just that it's not this long drawn out game like Blood Bowl was. It is a shorter condensed game, so maybe that won't be as much for you. If you're a fan of Blood Bowl, you're going to be on one of two sides of the fence. You're either going to say, nah, I don't like it, I want to play Blood Bowl instead. Or you're going to be, you know what, I don't have the time to play a regular game of Blood Bowl, but I'm going to be able to play this, and that's great. So there's two camps that I think that you could be in if you're in Blood Bowl. So is that a con? Not really. It's just kind of a negative thing, I guess. So I just wanted to mention it in the cons section. But those are two possible cons. The random dice rolling is still there. And people who already like Blood Bowl are going to be wishy-washy about it. Some are going to like it, some are not going to like it. So there's that. But all in all, if you have not dove into Blood Bowl because of its grandeur, because of you just feel like you might be biting off too much than you can chew, this might be exactly where you want to go, because it gives you the same feel that Blood Bowl gives you, but it gives it in a very condensed, efficient manner that I think is going to be one of the huge selling points for it. I think people will probably flock to this one, especially if they are new to the universe, the Blood Bowl universe. I think they're going to jump in here. This is a great, actually it's not even a jump in, it's more like a wading in at this point. So I think that's great. So all in all, I'm going to give this one a 9 out of 10, because really it does exactly what Blood Bowl gave. It doesn't have all of the other aspects that Blood Bowl has, like the team building aspect. Now, they may come out with that later on, I don't know, but it doesn't have all of that. But there's a lot of people out there that don't need that and aren't looking for that. They just want a game that they can play in about an hour and be done. You know, they're not worried about tournaments and seasons and all of this other kind of stuff. It's great that Blood Bowl offers that, don't get me wrong, but this is good for what it is, and this is really good for what it is because it gives you the same feel in a lot less time. So that's it from me, a 9 out of 10 for Blitz Bowl. Really enjoyed it, and this is probably going to be hitting the table a lot more than Blood Bowl will in my house at least. So we'll see you guys and gals on the flip side. Take care.